Yo, what is going on, guys? This is Sam, and this is absolutely wild at this point. We have our second look today of a 2019 iPhone prototype. We got our first one last week, courtesy of OnLeaks. Here's a look at today's, coming via OnLeaks and Compare Raja. I don't even know where to start here. This is happening 6 months ahead of schedule. There's so much to break down because the second one has so much more detail, so much more stuff to talk about than the first one. If you are excited for the iPhone 11, drop a like down below, and of course, hit subscribe so you don't miss out on any future Apple news. Speaking of which, as I'm legit editing this video, Apple dropped on apple.com their highly anticipated smart battery case. Not only for the iPhone XS, the phone I use as my daily driver, also for the iPhone XS Max and the iPhone XR. I thought the XR's case might be a little bit cheaper, but no, you're gonna have to crank out, you're gonna have to pay out 129 buckaroos for this smart battery case. I thought it was gonna be a little bit cheaper than that. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I thought it was gonna be about 99, 89, 79. No, Apple dropped the smart battery case available right now for $129. Just wanted to let you know about that before jumping into the video. But let's check out this iPhone 11 prototype now. Of course, I'll leave a link to where you can view these renders in their full 4 or 5K resolution down below. OnLeaks always does a great job of providing these, and I cannot say thank you to him enough first. But let's go ahead and jump into this render because this is it. There are so many big changes here. Let's start off with the front of the phone because that's something we didn't see with the other render. It has a smaller notch and is noted in the article as well, which is also huge for me. You can't really see it, but the bezels around the phone do actually get thinner from the iPhone XS to this purported iPhone 11. But the notch here, the notch is smaller. This is something that we've been hearing. That's something we didn't get to see with the first prototype, but now Apple is clearly testing a smaller notch here. And I think it actually looks really great with the rest of the design. Let's focus in on the notch here because there are some extremely significant changes that we had no idea how to properly visualize yet, at least until now. So with the notch, you'll notice immediately that because it's smaller, Apple had to rearrange some things. The number one thing I noticed was the speaker has been moved from the center of the notch to sort of above. It's about the same size, honestly. Apple's just positioned it more near the top of the phone. The TrueDepth camera system looks like it's been condensed somehow also to fit in a smaller area, and it all comes together in the form of this much smaller notch. Now, it's not as small as something like on the OnePlus 6 or 6T where it's like a little teardrop at the very top, but I don't mind this at all. And pretty much any notch on an iPhone better than what we have right now, which is this, I don't mind it that much, but anything better than this would make me super happy. Let me know your thoughts about the design and more specifically on the notch down below. Do you like the direction Apple's going? Now, the rest of the iPhone 11 pictured here largely looks the same, but as I mentioned earlier, the bezels are a little bit thinner. I'll pull up a side-by-side comparison to see if you can tell. It was really hard for me to see, and I found the bezels on the current iPhone 10 and XS to be really great. Like, the XR is too thick for me, the XS is just about right, but if they're gonna get even thinner year over year, that means the screen size could increase ever so slightly if Apple would make the screen a little bit bigger. We're not really hearing that there's gonna be like a huge screen size jump, but based off these renders, maybe the screens could get a little bit bigger. That's just off of what I'm seeing right now. However, that's not the most exciting part. The most exciting part for me on this phone is what comes on the back here. Because we saw that triple camera setup on the first iPhone 11 prototype, I have not read so many negative comments about an iPhone in my entire life. People saying they wouldn't upgrade, people saying they were done with Apple forever. Obviously, that's a little bit extreme. We'll have to see what happens when the phone actually comes out. But long story short, nobody liked it, or the majority of comments that I saw were negative in regards to this type of a triple camera setup. The approach here is so cool, and I really like it for one big reason. I'll start off there. In the middle of this triple camera setup, you've got one on the left, one on the right, and one in the middle. Apple actually implemented the microphone straight below, which is nearly impossible to see here, but the flash on the back is a ring around one of the lenses. Like, that is just marketing magic waiting to happen. Apple is definitely going to highlight that in ads because that's super dope and there's no way around that. And I do not know what it is about the flash setup here, but it's just like the perfect solution for me. This also looks like no iPhone that we have ever seen before. Like, the front looks reminiscent of an iPhone 10. There's no question about that. The back looks like no iPhone, really no phone I've ever seen before in regard to the Apple logo in the middle and the camera straight above with the flash going around one of the ledges. I hope you can see my excitement here. I am much more hyped for this prototype than I was the first. Number one, because we're seeing more, but number two, that the camera setup here seems 3,000 times better, and I really hope that one of the 2019 iPhones ends up looking like this more so than what we saw at first. I just really like it. Now, just to clear up some confusion about the prototypes, because I feel like that's going to be a big question here. We saw one about a week and a half ago. This is a new one today. According to OnLeaks, both of those are 100% authentic. So I saw a lot of you guys saying on the first one, this is fake, stop reporting on things that aren't actually real. I never ever upload anything to my channel unless there is at least some truth to it, unless I preface by saying, hey, this is speculation, or hey, this is a rumor. These two iPhone prototypes that we've taken a look at so far are authentic. They are at least options on the table as Apple begins to solidify their plans for what a 2019 iPhone could look like. I'm sure they are both in the EVT stage, so the evaluation or engineering validation test stage, meaning that Apple is just making sure these will actually work when all the pieces are put together, because Apple can dream anything up. It does have to actually be realistic from an engineering standpoint, an assembly standpoint, but both of these options are still here. They are both viable options, but I gotta hear your thoughts down below. Which one do you like more? If you had to pick right now, 2019 iPhone 11, this one versus this one, which one would you pick? That being said, it also brings up an entirely different theory by Compare Raja, as mentioned in their article, that maybe one of these is the successor to the iPhone XR, while the other would be a successor to the iPhone XS. So maybe we're looking at XR Mark II in one of these. The other is the iPhone XI, which Apple's probably going to pronounce the iPhone 11. I know a lot of you want Apple to go back to the traditional number scheme, but I feel like they've really kind of bought into that Roman numeral or lettering scheme over numbers with the XR and the XS and the 10. So I think Apple's going to call it the XI, the iPhone 11, and I could very well see them calling the next iPhone XR the XRS, or maybe they jump to, I don't know, just different screen sizes for the 11, and maybe they're all similar. I don't know, but this renders dope. Now, there are some other details that we can see in the device. Number one, it does have a glass back. I don't think Apple's going to be switching back to metal anytime soon, just because then wireless charging wouldn't work. This definitely looks like a glass back, and I really hope Apple stays that way, because I enjoy wireless charging every once and so often when I use it. I also think glass looks so much more premium and feels so much more premium than aluminum. You can see on the side the antenna line are pretty much in the same place that they have been for a couple of years now, although I know they did change one position on the iPhone XS. It looks like it's pretty much in the same spot on this iPhone 11 as it is on the iPhone XS. And buttons are pretty much exactly identical to how they've been on both the iPhone X and the XS. You've got your volume rocker and mute switch on the left side, pretty much in the exact same position. And on the right side of the device, you do have your sleep wake button or power button. It's still really, really long. Still no idea why Apple actually made that change, because there was a rumor that Touch ID would go in the elongated power button at one point. That never happened. I don't even know if that was ever actually on the table, but you still have this massive power button. I guess it makes it a little bit easier to press and reach, and Apple is sticking with that on this iPhone 11. All right, so those are all the observations I've been able to make so far. Those are all the facts that we know about this iPhone 11 render. I want to share more of my opinion now. I really like the way that this phone looks, if you couldn't tell already. It is the most unique looking iPhone that I think I have ever seen. And I'm not saying that this is the best possible iPhone design that Apple could come up with. I am saying I think it looks really good, and I think it looks 3,000 times better than the original iPhone 11 render that we saw. Although that one was growing on me, and even if we would see that on some iPhone 11 model, if Apple does ship that giant square on the back, I personally don't think it's the worst thing in the world, and I know a lot of you disagree with me on that, and that's all right. I got used to it pretty quick. I didn't mind it that much. But in comparison, the new one is so much better, so much cleaner, and I still can't get over that flash around one of the cameras. I don't know why, it's just so cool. All right, guys, so that is the latest 2019 iPhone 11 rumor. Crazy stuff. Again, I cannot believe we're seeing this early. I'm usually talking about this like 2 months ahead of time, but the hype for these feels already so high. I think 2019 is the year that Apple can really come back. The iPhone XS, I've said it before, I'll say it again, it's a fantastic phone. I don't have any complaints about it, but is it the most exciting thing that Apple released in the past 10 years? No, absolutely not. This phone that I'm looking at right here This is exciting. So if you enjoyed watching, if you learned something new, make sure to drop a like down below. It always helps me out. And of course, hit subscribe so you don't miss out on anything else. Again, I've been Sam. I hope you're doing fantastic, and I'll talk to you in my next video.